Hello and welcome. I have decided to make a little video on Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. So I decided to do this because, one, I'm very excited. Final Fantasy Tactics has been a game that, I've been enjoying for a long time, ever since it came out. It's funny, actually, I bought the game from a friend in junior high, and it was when it wasn't super popular. Shortly after, it kind of became a little bit more popular, but I remember thinking, hey, I like Final Fantasy, liked all of them so far. Let's try this one. Didn't even realize that it was a tactical game. Didn't even know what a tactical RPG was. It was my first one for sure. Definitely plays different than the original, or not original, but a lot of the original Final Fantasies and just those types of RPGs. But I think we can all agree, the people that are interested in Final Fantasy Tactics, that the story is fantastic, the setting is really cool. It spawned more tactics games. Final Fantasy 12 is set in the same world, so it's definitely a pretty important game, and it's pretty cool that they've decided to do this remaster. And the biggest thing that we're getting out of this remaster is mainly the enhanced edition, but they're also including what they're calling a classic edition. So this does look like it's kind of a port of the original game. It looks like it has the updated War of the Lion script, or at least a tweaked script. From what I've been reading, there's just all sorts of little things. I don't know if there's a comprehensive list of all the things that have changed, and you know what? We'll probably find that maybe when, the game releases and people really dive in. It'll be interesting to see what's changed and how things have changed. The classic version, it looks like the balancing is reverted to the original 97 version. I don't know exactly what is kind of included in that, but once it releases and people kind of really get to play all these different versions and really dive into them, that's where we're going to see a little bit more of what that classic version is. Now, the version I'm going to play is the enhanced version. That's that, whole new UI. The graphics have been polished. It looks nice and clean and fresh and, made for HD. The full voice acting is in there. That's going to be pretty cool. I've seen that there's English and Japanese, not sure if there's other languages, but having the full voice acting is going to be, I think, really cool. I'm not usually super keen on voice acting, but I think the setting of this game, being that it is kind of that fantasy, kind of medieval, knights kind of world, and hearing some of the voice acting that I hear, it seems like they've gotten the tone and the style of the voices, at least on the little bit that I've heard, to suit really well with the setting of the game. So I think that'll be a nice sort of tweak change, and just see how well that's going to go. We also have new difficulties, and that one's going to be quite interesting. So we've got our standard, which that one is supposedly going to match the original difficulty. I did see in an interview the director, Kazutoyo Mahiro, mentioned how, for instance, Charge Plus 7 was kind of useless in the original game. It's an archer skill, takes a really long time to go, and most of the time, the enemy that you're looking to attack moves, or something else happens. So it's kind of a wasted turn. Apparently, he has made adjustments to make that viable. So while standard, which is the same as the original, it still has some balancing and tweaks in there. So it is an updated version of the game, but it matches it. I think that's probably the one I'm going to go with because it's the most familiar. But there are two other difficulties. There's the casual, which is that classic, just enjoy the story. A lot of games nowadays seem to do that, and you can set it to that and just play through, enjoy the story. There's no big pressure to do a certain, level of skill. And then you also have tactical. Now that one I am interested in as well, but so far all I can really see is, quote unquote, for advanced players. So we'll see. Maybe that will have just better, boss mechanics. Maybe it'll just have more health on the bosses. They do more damage. I think they're going to put in the work to make that a more, advanced version of it, and it's not just bosses being more difficult, quote unquote. I think it's going to tweak their battle mechanics and then introduce some new things. We'll see how that goes. A couple other things that are being introduced in this enhanced version. There's an autosave that pretty big quality of life feature. It's something that's quite modern nowadays, having autosave in games. You know, we do all have modern consoles that this is going to play on. It's on PlayStation 5, it's on Nintendo Switch, I think on Switch too. I believe it's on the Xbox consoles as well, and all of those consoles you can rest. That's a big thing, because in a tactical RPG, you don't go into a fight and it be a couple minutes. Sometimes they're over half an hour long. That's kind of the attraction to these types of games, is that you're really in this big battle, even when it's just a standard, random battle kind of thing, not a boss battle or anything like that, or a story battle. You're actually putting in the work. But having an autosave, again, I'm not too sure where that applies. Maybe it's just after each battle, maybe it's after each turn, I don't know. That might be a little much, because then I feel like you could tweak it a little bit, or cheese it a little bit, sorry. But we'll see what that actually ends up looking like. There's also a battle speed up, which I think is going to be super handy when you're looking to grind, right? It's just a simple matter of get into it, do the fight, get the levels, be done, rinse and repeat, right? Everyone knows how the grind goes. And just having things like, a speed up is just going to be nice to have that as an option. I'm sure it'll be just like most other, modern Final Fantasy remakes or remasters, like the Pixel remasters, being able to speed those up with just a click of the button. That, I think, is just going to be handy. There's also a really cool, I think, quit battle and retry. I remember in the original game, you couldn't select from a menu and say, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to quit, go back to the map, or, I'm going to start over. There wasn't really a way to do that once you're in the fight. The only way you could do anything to get away from it was to do a full software reset. So that was a bit of a extreme kind of thing. Having a menu option say quit to menu or quit to title, something like that in the middle of a battle would have made a lot of sense, but hey, it was 1997. Things were different back then, right? So I think having those in there is going to be handy, because, if you get into one and you're like, oh, I messed up the formation, or oops, I didn't mean to add that character because he's level 1 and this is level 30. Something like that, you can just quickly quit. It's not a big thing, because there was many times where I would get into a fight and I had not saved for several, and you mess something up, you go back, and then all of a sudden, well, you got to start all over again. So I think quitting is going to be nice to be able to just get you back. I'm guessing back to the map screen, where you can then, tweak things, redeploy, maybe try a different route, something like that. There are some cool map changes as well, where I don't know exactly all of them, but the pictures that I've seen have been really nice. The map is, freshened up, has some really cool graphics on there, some just, again, modernizing. A lot of this whole enhanced version is quite just modernizing things. One thing too is that, again, with the battles, is that it looks like you can go to a node that you would normally fight on. So Mendalia Plains, one of the earliest ones in the game, where normally you'd have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, hoping that you get into an encounter to grind. With this, it looks like there's a feature where it says search for fights or find me a fight or something like that, where you're on the node and you just press A and there you go. Now it's going to get into a fight. If that's the case, that would be really handy and would really speed up the grinding. Just because so many of the times when you go grinding, you just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it just gets tedious. So if that's the case, that's pretty nice. You don't have to go back and forth. One other thing that I wanted to mention too is that from what I've seen, this is a remaster, not a remake, right? So there's no new sub-events, there's no new characters. It's just a refreshening of the story and of the game. With that in mind, though, I did see that Cloud apparently joins earlier in Chapter 4, so I don't know how that's going to be into the story. I guess he wasn't really in the story in the first place, and hopefully he's a better character than in the original. I always found him kind of useless because he came in such a low level, and then you had to grind him up, and his weapons weren't great. We'll see what it goes through. As I think all the balance changes that they're looking to do, that's something that they'll probably, tweak and improve upon, just so then it'll be nicer for everyone. I already touched on the UI a little bit, but just again, in the battle, the UI looks so much fresher, it looks so much cleaner. I mean, obviously it's all smooth, it's HD, it's not pixelated like in the classic version, but the classic version has its, charms, let's call it. But yeah, it looks very nice and fresh, and just tweaking how the camera moves on the map is going to be quite nice as well, that you're not, set in all these specific, exact areas, or sorry, angles, I should say, not areas. And then the last thing I want to touch on is what the different editions they have. So they have the standard edition, deluxe edition, and then this collector's edition, which is pretty crazy, and we'll get to that. When you pre-order any of the editions, you'll get the white equipment for Ramza, you'll get a few other extra equipment. So the white equipment is the skin, it looks like. On the deluxe edition, you get black equipment and red equipment. You also get some items that I've never seen before, so the Academy Blade, Academy Beret, Academy Tunic, and a Ring of Aptitude. From what I've read, the Ring of Aptitude pretty much helps with grinding and leveling up, so it's going to give you some more experience, maybe some more job points, where you don't have to grind as much, so always handy, because this is a game where you have to grind. Now the final edition is this Collector's Edition. So this one is super interesting. You get art cards, you get chocobo plushies, you get Zodiac Stone magnets, you get the Outlying Church pop-up art, kind of one of those like thick card ones where you pop it out and then you put it together, creates like that 3D puzzle almost. You get a statue of Ramza, which when I was looking on Square's website, you can also get the statue on its own of Ramza. You can also get it for Agrius and Delita as well. That's pretty cool. What's wild is it doesn't come with the game. Is that it's just, in a sense, a swag box. It also doesn't come with any of the deluxe content. You're really just paying for this physical stuff, which is neat, and they're open about it. They're not trying to be a little bit sneaky. It's strange at first, but if someone is really, really a huge fan of this game, they could get this as extra. And again, like the statues alone cost a good amount of money. This whole box, this collector's edition, from what I could find on the UK website, was £200. So yes, it doesn't come with the game. Yes, it doesn't come with the deluxe content. But if you're someone that wants all this stuff, you're willing to spend this kind of money. I think that's why they're kind of doing it this way. It's still kind of weird that it doesn't come with the game, but they've made their choice. And that's going to do it for my very first video. Again, I've already mentioned it. I'm really excited for this game. September 30th is when it comes out. I'm sure a lot of people are going to pre-order it. If anyone has any comments, has any, their favorite part of the game from the original, what they're most looking forward to, kind of what difficulty they're going to play, I'd love to hear about it. So pop it down in the comments there. And, as they always say, give us a like, subscribe if you're interested, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.